Good evening, all. Welcome in. Hopefully, you can hear me all right. All my levels are telling me that I'm going out and I'm not muted this time, so there's that. That's a win. It's the final day of the manufacturer showcase here at IAE 29:55, and a very good afternoon, evening, morning, or good night to Space Saga, to Burger Pops, Jammy Bugger, Truther, Stakaragor, Del Kenobi, Tibbs, Teapot, Neil B, Bounty SC, Mark Excellent, Jock Cop, SMG. Good to see you all in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Avi as well. Hello. We are about to hit Aegis, and yeah, the thumbnail rings true. There are so many people that said that they thought something was coming on Aegis Day because of the pattern of every other day getting something, that I thought we'd address it directly. And obviously, we've got a little bit of things to discuss regarding the Star Citizen Live yesterday. Lots of people talking about things like the whole D&E reduction, the Polaris versus Idris, pilot controlled weapons, and I thought I'd weigh in on that sort of stuff as well. And maybe we'll do that after the Aegis stuff because it's going to be a big topic. There's going to be a lot of discussion. Let's do that once we've had a review of all the ships that are out there at the minute. Everyone ready for taquitos? Certainly are over here. Rage Duke, hello, good to see you. Jean Chavez, welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Did I imagine them confirming a new Aegis ship next year? Looking forward to seeing how that comes out with the new pipeline. I can't remember every manufacturer they said, but if they said it, then they said it. Someone else will uh, be able to talk to that. Me Chunks, welcome in. So yes, lots of stuff to talk about. Aegis coming out in a little over 10 minutes. By Aegis, I mean there is nothing announced. Now, there's a couple of possibilities here. There's things like the Hermes that we originally thought was RSI. There is a possibility we got the manufacturer wrong. There is also a possibility that there's some other ship. Now, whatever it is, it's either straight to flyable or it is an existing ship that hasn't been flyable that is now flyable. The thing that makes me kind of unsure and not really kind of convinced that any of that is going to happen is that with every IAE, we get a couple of days before releases, there are leaks, there's all that sort of stuff. There's nothing. There's nothing on weapon kits, there's nothing on any of this. I think there was even rumblings a couple of days before the blade thing, if I remember rightly, that blades might be a thing. So even that, even stuff that's sold that has nothing to do with a ship release, gets leaked. There has been nothing. So I'm not expecting anything today. I'm expecting to do a quick ship review and then get into the meat of the ship talk stuff from yesterday. But there we go. So yeah, there we go. So Neil says it was Drake, RSI, Misk, Grays, Kruger, Anvil, Aegis, Gatak, and yeah, you've written Grays again, but yes. A new Origin ship would make perfect Perseus target practice. You're not wrong. My bet for the Aegis Day is the update to the Gladiator, but they needed to touch it up for the paints anyway. Very, very possibly. Hello, Ashra, and to everyone else that I've missed coming in. Good to see you all. So that's where we're going to be. Yeah, it's been an interesting couple of days, but as we always do, the first thing I want to do is look at where they are in terms of funds and funding, and then we'll go and join the F5 refresh wars on the Aegis page. I'm pretty sure that by the time it loads for us, I won't be able to even see an Idris available for buy, even though purchase, even though it has been earlier on. Gladiator's Anvil, yeah, that. So a bit of an interesting one. Hello, Rush. Welcome in. Good to see you. So let me just get this zoomed in a little so we can all see how it's reading. And here we go. We're going to head across and see what's going on. So here we are with funding. I feel like I'm losing altitude again in the chair. I've been sat here for a while. So funding, unsurprisingly, with Crusader, the fact that most of their line has been released and been released for some time, and then Tumbrel, which is a very kind of, I guess, circumstantial use case ground vehicle manufacturer. Not a huge day, and by not a huge day, I mean they still reeled in around what's that, 2,150,000, somewhere in that region, probably a little over. So still a big day as it goes, but not a huge amount in terms of comparison to the previous days. So yeah, a real difference, a real difference. RSI up to Drake, I think it was. Does that make sense? Origin, yeah, something like that. Something like that. Anyway, I vaguely remember now. So that's where that is, and yeah, not a bad day in the office as far as CIG are concerned in terms of the amount of money they brought in over the event, which has pushed them now. And maybe I need to eat my original estimate of maybe 135, possibly 140. But you know we're not far past 135. It's very very possible, especially with the Aegis sale. So the Aegis, the Aegis. That's what it's called now. That I've decided. It's now the Aegis with the Aegis sale that they're going to hit 135 comfortably by the end of the IAE Expo. A lot of that will be driven definitely by the quality and quantity of war bond CCU deals they do during the finale period, and we'll just have a look at that now. I skipped over because otherwise I sit here and as the video changes, I'll just shut that door. As you watch as the video changes, especially when the tank fires, like you get all the color changes on my face, and I thought that might be a bit distracting. So there we go. Because if I'd done that and I'd just been sat here, people would have been like, "What's going on at your house?" So yeah, into the best in show stuff tomorrow, which we'll cover again in a little bit later. But I have something interesting. I won't be here, but there'll be something interesting in the 30 minutes running up to the best in show changeover, just enough to get you in the mood, ready to go for the best in show showdown. Then the finale covering November 30th to December 3rd inclusive. And that then is the remainder of the event. And I don't know why the bottom bit's fallen off, but it says your last chance to experience IE and fly for 3. So, is that what it says? The farewell? It still doesn't show me. That's just rubbish. Just show me the bottom bit. God damn it. Really random background on the screen there. So, sorry about that. The expo doors are closed for another year. See you next time. Well, I mean, that was not worth it. But there we go. We got there in the end. So that's where we are with all this sort of stuff. Yeah, it's interesting that you know, Crusader obviously have a lot of very popular ships, but clearly things like the I'm on the Tumbrel bit, which is why we can't see the A2 Warbond. The A2 Warbond is problematic, being at the top end of the Hercules stuff, and also it doesn't leave you a lot of places to go. So a lot of people not kind of happy with that, or not that they're not happy. It's just not attractive to them. So there's that. And then, of course, so many of these vehicles are already bought up. So people that want them have them. You know, the few things that they haven't released yet, the Genesis and the Spirit E1. The Genesis has been around forever. It's one of their earliest concepts, as far as I'm aware. The E1 is mercifully cheap enough as far as Star Citizenships go. I know people, I've just used cheap in relation to a JPEG ship, but well, hear me out. In relation to Star Citizenships, that it's not really a challenge to get to. It's not like some people have to use years and years and years to build a chain to get to that ship. So there's that. Star Cell says, I managed an exec F8 this year, now I rest. Well, congrats on the exec F8, my friend. That's quite the achievement. Well done, you. Good job. Kruger Stingray beam weapon? Possibly. We don't know. It'll be, I guess a lot of it will depend on how well the test of the Idris beam weapon went. And I know that's a fringe case, because that's a significantly powerful capital ship main weapon. But I'm sure there's lessons that they're learning in comparison to things like the railgun and torps at that size and all that sort of stuff. So we'll see. Thought I'd be spending about a K this sale. So far, I think I'm... Wow. Holy moly, truther. That's going, son. Sebastian, welcome in. Good to see you, my friend. So yeah, that's where we are at the moment. I'm going to keep an eye on the countdown timer, but just to let you know, something exciting, at least from my point of view, and I'm hoping from yours as well, has developed over the last few weeks for the channel, and I'm really excited to introduce that tomorrow. So there will be a short video whilst I'm not here. There will be a video going up explaining that. It's not going to be a multiple thousand view video because it's about the channel rather than about Star Citizen content directly, although there are very strong links with Star Citizen content. Give me a second, guys. I've just got someone knocking at the door. Bear with me a moment. Apologies, I really wasn't expecting that. I got a knock at the door. So, yeah, there we go. Good stuff. So, yeah, no, it wasn't the men in white coats coming to take me away. I've managed to successfully hide from them for quite some time. So, we're all good. Kempi, welcome in all, and Starcell, Furious Ninja, and those that I haven't said hello, Martin Howes, welcome in all. So, that's where we are. I'll hit the F5 walls. But yes, where was I? Right, tomorrow, video. Something interesting for the channel. Very much based in Star Citizen, but not quite as you would expect. So, looking forward to introducing that to you tomorrow. And if that at all scintillates your Star Citizen taste buds, I recommend being around for that. You know what to do. There's the bell, there's the notification stuff. Just check back whatever works best for you. But I'm looking forward to showing that to everyone. Ray, welcome in. Good to see you. And to all my American friends, I'm hoping that you've recovered sufficiently from the massive food and drink at Thanksgiving. I hope you enjoyed that. Thought that missing poster looked familiar. I don't know what you're talking about. So that's where we are. Yeah, looking forward to that. And then obviously I will be back on Sunday. The chances are what I'll do is I'll go live with the finale stuff at the normal time, 3:45 UK time. We'll have a look. If the war bond deals are then going to change, what we'll do is we'll do a stream every day for the war bond deals. If not, we'll come in for the finale and we'll do like a massive reflect back on everything that we've seen and all that good stuff. Yeah. And then from there, we'll see what else happens. If not, then I will just come back for the finale, like I said. There will probably be no Sunday stream. We have talked Star Citizen to death this week. And I feel like whatever we would do on Sunday would just be covering old ground, and I don't want to do that too much. So that's where we are, expecting the store page to change over any minute now. I'm going to flashbang myself multiple times by hitting the refresh. I guess what I'll do is I'll save you guys just for a moment. Let's transition back to my ugly mug so I can save you the constant refreshes, and all you'll see from time to time is that I get flashbanged. That'll be fun, right? And then we'll see when the Aegis page picks up. Like I said, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rush to the Idris and see if there are even any left after the crazy bot F5 wars. I'm guessing there won't be, but I'm on much faster internet now, so I can compete much better on this than I used to be able to. Not that I want one. I'm not after one. The Aegis, the really, really big ships are going to be ships that I earn in game, but we are there. I'm going to skip past the war bond. I didn't predict, but I wouldn't have predicted what just popped up on my screen. Let's have a look. Where are we? Aegis ships. Where's the Idris? Oh, I've gone the wrong way for this, I bet. Don't mind me. I'm just going to keep clicking. Here we go. Idris P. View offers. You'll never guess what. Oh, for God's sake. Yeah, Idris P's gone already. That's fun. Yeah, so there's that. Is there a Twitch channel of Crocsar? No, there isn't, my friend. I have been looking at doing the live streaming. If I do live stream, it won't be Twitch. unfortunately. And I'll talk more about that later on if people want me to. But if I choose to live stream, the platform will not be Twitch. And like I say, we'll talk about that a little later on. So yes, Idris is already sold out, unfortunately. But for the rest of Aegis, I almost had a heart attack then because I had the purchase on screen. I forgot that's just the video that plays, right? The Eclipse is the War Bond daily deal. Now, I don't think I would have gone for this. I'm not sure what I would have gone for, but it wasn't that. But you're looking at $25 off if that's the ship that you were going after. Oh, and of course there's the Javelin as well. I didn't even look at the Javelin. I didn't even think about the Javelin. AV says Javelin was also instant. So unsurprisingly then, to answer the new ship or nah title, is there a surprise coming? Clearly there isn't at this point. There's nothing here that jumps out. There doesn't seem to be any weapon packs or anything. There's none of that stuff. So, and I don't necessarily have a problem with that. I think we've had 5 ships. We've done pretty, or 4 ships in a vehicle. We've done pretty well out of this. So, there we go. Yeah, it's going to be a good day for CIG's bank account. I completely forgot about the Javelin. That's how far I am from that ship. The only thing I will say is, you know, if do you know what, I'm gonna do this to myself. Why not? I'm tired. It's at the end of IAE week. It's Aegis. I feel like I'm at a low enough ebb that I can commit to this and then just regret it later. Right? Oh no, the Javelin's not. Is there a Javelin? Right. Stand by. Stand by, caller. I've got something to check in the background. Let's have a look. What is now the upper end of the referral program? It's not a Javelin anymore, is it? Or is it? Is it? No, it's an Idris now. Okay. Okay. So the upper end is the Idris. All right. If, and the referral code's in the description, if I get to the point where I get enough referral codes to have an Idris, I'll do an entire series on commanding warships. And not only that, I will demo it myself. And I know I've just stitched myself up massively. But, so if you want to do that, you know what to do. Recommend the referral code out and stuff. But I'm not going to start spamming it all over the screen. I might do it like once per stream. I'll put it in the intro videos, obviously. Stuff geared more towards new players as and when they happen. But I'm confident that it won't. So I won't have to make that series of videos. So I'm good. It's safe. Safe. So yes, right, go back to the beginning of this. We'll have a look through. Let's go. Okay. Again, so many of us are familiar with this. So if people want me to talk about a specific ship, my thoughts, that sort of stuff, then by all means shout it out in chat. I'll stop and have a chat. If not, what I do is I kind of stop at the ones that I'm like, I've got something to say about this ship. I want to recommend. I want to talk about it because I want it, or something that I think is particularly good value, or whatever else like that. You know, from my perspective, I talk about value. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Avenger, still one of my favorite starter ships. Just we'll see how that develops. Eclipse is an Eclipse, and the Gladius is a Gladius. Big ships are in a bad spot at the minute, aren't they? Aren't they just in a bit of a bad spot? It's a bit of a shame. Big ship struggling, and a ship that should do so well against small fighters, or fighters of any size, gets absolutely destroyed by them. It's a real crying shame for the Hammerhead. But once, hopefully they fix it. They talked yesterday about how they thought turrets were in a bad place, so they are going to do something to improve it. Whether it's enough remains to be seen. But I just can see a lot of utility in a Perseus Hammerhead matchup. One to absolutely swap fighters, one to completely destroy larger targets. I think they're going to be a very effective pairing if they work as intended. At the moment, they're both vulnerable to the obvious risk. Eclipse at 300 makes no sense. Yeah, so there's definitely the stealth tax and the rule of cool there. When you look at the Retaliator, that's got a lot more. Yes, it takes more to crew it, and it's obviously not as stealthy as the Eclipse. There is definitely a pay mismatch there. Oh, sorry, a price mismatch. Pay, a price mismatch. What you pay. That's what I'm meaning. Good lord, right? I'm gonna bear with me. I'm gonna finish the last of my rocket fuel because clearly it's needed. Sergeant Wilson, welcome in, my friend. Good to see you. Yeah, if you've been here before it reworked, you still have the chance to get a javelin at 27 team referrals. Are they still counting both ways? I thought they only counted both ways up until the referrals came in. If it's still in both places, then dear God, I mean, there's no way I'm not getting to the Idris, so there's no way I'm getting to the javelin. It's fine. I know what we do here. That is, there are a lot of people that have been in the game for a while because new players come into here, go, why is this game this serious, and leave, and that's okay. But you know, that's the thing. If you want to target at the general market or the newer players, you're going to do really well on referrals. If you've got a big org and you get everyone to, you put one referral code up and everyone refers to that person, that works too. That's not how I run the org. So there's that. Referrals go on both ladders still. Crazy. I am on the old referral ladder too. So, but I wasn't that many in. I think I was 10, 15 in. I can't remember what the last. I got the Gladius. I think that was the last thing I got, but I can't remember. So yeah, military ships like the Hammerhead and Perseus should have at least 3 size 3 shields or a sub-capital shield component, throwing a bit more armor too, says Ruboy. Yeah, possibly. The larger ones, absolutely. They should be tough. I still have a grand total of 0 referrals, said Mad Teapot. I won't even refer myself. I mean, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, you're right. There are lots of ships in the 300 range. This is very much for a dedicated strike. And I can... It's unfortunate, because if you look at what it does in and of itself against other ships in the range, you feel shortchanged with the Eclipse. However, for CIG to control how many people have access to stealth size 9 torpedoes, it starts to make more sense. I wouldn't say it necessarily justifies it the whole way, but it does make more sense. So that's where we are. Okay, I'll have a look. I'm not sure where to go on my old. Is there a way to get to the old one? I guess there is. Oh, looking for your legacy referral program. It's right at the top under the bit marked legacy referral program. I found it. It's loading. We're all good. So yes, so my next reward is 25 recruits. That's the Arena Commander Racing. Shall I move it across? I'll just move it across. Just easier, isn't it? So yeah, so this is the old referral program. So I'm at 18. So I got all that stuff. That's where I am now. Next one will be the Arena Commander Combat Package, and then the next one will be the Speed Racer. So we're a way out yet. That's interesting. What the hell is that? What is that? Is that just a new look glaive, or is that something else? What is that? Am I a bit old and backward and not remembering? Blade. Is that what it is? Is that just it is? It's just the new blade. Because it's got gaps in the wings and all sorts. It's the glaive, if I recall. I mean, that's pretty. That's as a new design. That's kind of nice. Then you've got the scythe question mark. Hurricane thingy, Mile High Club. And then that thing. Lol. Yeah, I'm never getting there. It's fine. It's fine. And I will go on record. I'm not getting it. It's okay. And it's all right. I don't know if I want to command a ship that big. I'd happily crew one, but I don't need to own it for that. So yeah, there we go. Old blade art. That's a shame, because that's nice. I actually quite like that design. But there we go. Anyway, that's a referral program. Let's get rid of that. Back to Aegis and their ships. Gladius, yeah, Hammerhead, fine. Idris P, there's not much to be said. We had some fun seeing how many wolves we got in this thing. There's a short that I will be putting up when I get my backside in gear and actually put it together. you'll be surprised at the number, and I don't think we rammed it as full as we could. We left space so that it would have been relatively easy, with a little bit of finagling, for pilots to get their wolves out again. If you really wanted to wedge them over the top of each other, I think you could fit more. But that's where we went. So yeah, I'm Coffee Guru. Welcome in. There's still a few more waves every 4 hours after the first one. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, so the rework. It's not a rework. It's a gold standard pass. So what they're doing is they're adding in blast doors. The gravity generator room will actually be a room, and various other things that bring it up to gold standard. So things like personal storage in the right place, controllable lights and different light settings for each room. I don't think it's so much a rework. I don't think there's enough going on in the ship to justify the title rework, as they talked about yesterday. So there's that one. It just look. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about the big ships. Here's what I will say about big ships, and if you've heard me on the info runners, you've heard me say this before, very possibly. Owning a big ship doesn't make you capable of running one. If you've seen the level of effort people have put in to run things like old school WoW raids to Fleet Command or Shot Call, whatever you want to call it, in Eve, all that sort of stuff, that's tough. It takes a lot of communication, it takes a lot of game awareness, and it takes actually some interpersonal skills. Right? There are ways and means of getting people to do things urgently in a game that makes them feel engaged rather than makes them feel like they're just being shouted at. Because not no one, very few people play a game to feel like they're not good enough and be shouted at. There's no people that play Dark Souls, and they're the other side, right? And Elden Ring and that sort of stuff. But that's where we go, right? So I think the Javelin, the Idris, they are going to be, once everything else comes in, once they need a larger crew to run, and I genuinely do believe that is going to happen, I think we're going to see less and less of them. So that's where we go. Javelin is a destroyer. She's a destroyer. The Nautilus, interesting again. I think the Nautilus is going to be incredibly situational. One of the interesting things is part of her artwork actually has. So if I, all right, I'll jump across like that, then fine. But one of her things here, if you look at her ship details, one of her artwork pieces, are you not gonna? Is that the only artwork piece you've got? Because there's more artwork than that, but actually has the drones shown as gun drones. So they're not mines so much. They are in place and they activate like sentry turrets. Whether they can still move around, it's not sure. It's believed that these, to make them a little bit more useful, might detect and then come after you after a certain range and then try and fly into you to trigger the explosion. That's cool too. But they're talking about, so yeah, so homing and sentry mines, plus Nemo drones for disarmament and recovery. So that's cool. That's that. But yes, it's not the sort of ship that really stands out to me. I've got to admit, I don't think it's going to be that great. Reclaimer, love it. Absolutely love it. Great industry ship, great looking ship. Follows the Nostromo vibe beautifully. As someone said yesterday, I saw it and then completely failed to pick up on it. The landing animation for this thing is gorgeous. Watching that landing gear flex back and kind of strain and then have it settle on the pneumatics, chef's kiss. I've actually got this. I don't think I'm in a place. Am I in a place where I could show that off? I think I might be. I think I'm in Horizon. So I could show that off if we want to go and have a look at that in a little bit. But yeah, the landing animation for this is just absolutely chef's kiss. Silverback landing, yeah, proper sits down on its haunches and oh, oof, oof, yeah. Reclaimer, I've always been a fan, thanks to Edison and Can as an incredibly generous birthday present. I now have one, so that's cool. As you are rapidly learning, most of the ships in my hangar I didn't get myself. Uh, I talk about a ship and it magically appears. So whilst we're on that subject, do we know that I don't own my own house? I'm just gonna see if the logic applies. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I thought that was funny. If Chernobyl Alpha would be a ship, are they a Cherno Alpha? Yeah, the what do they call? No, not the Kaiju. That's a bad guy. The Jaeger. The Jaeger. That's what I meant. Yeah, it's that. It's old. It's brute force. It's solid. It's very very nice. Redeemer, interesting. When the Redeemer came out and then got a couple of buffs and all that sort of stuff and changes, the Redeemer was going to be the ship to end all PvP and all that sort of stuff. And is it? Is it? Did it break the game? Did it? I don't think it did. So there we go. It might have a cardboard boss. That's it. That's absolutely that. Talk some more about the javelin. No, 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 no. Absolutely not. No, no, Pilgrim. Stop it. Um. So yeah. Remember, being gifted your house would be suck. That's a massive tax bill. Yeah, but house, right? Solo PvP has broke the Redeemer. Yeah, there was that. There has been a recent for science vid that shows the Redeemer is still viable and fun to use. That's it. Fun, absolutely. Viable, absolutely. Broken, I don't think it goes that far. So, yeah. Retaliator. The base thing now, obviously, I don't think she comes with torps, is that right? She comes with the room options include cargo, torpedo, dropship, and living quarters. Funny enough, because of another ship that was CCU'd through, I won't say I CCU'd, that's not true. That it was CCU through. I have the base variant and I have the torpedo modules anyway. So go figure. Although I don't think you quite thrive in air-to-air combat with a comprehensive way of manual turrets. I think now the size 2s on it in the turrets are woefully underpowered. So yeah. I can see Badger and a Javelin would look good. Stop it. Right, it's an Javelin modularity talk. Yeah, we can talk about that. We can go back to the funding goals because there's some interesting parts in the funding goals that relate directly to the to the Javelin. Terrible to fly. It shouldn't be fun. In terms of it shouldn't be massively maneuverable and turn on a dime, that sort of thing. That's what I mean by fun. Yeah, it should be very much as it was in the Squadron 42 video. Straight line, full speed, and then try to veer away at the last minute to not get taken out by your own torps or the exploding carcass of your victim. They got upgraded to size 3 a while ago. Well, I mean, that's good news. Exactly that, AV. Do you know what? I hadn't considered it, but exactly that. Swapping some of the turrets for PDCs. Or giving them a mount that allows you to do either would be great. So yeah, let's check. Welcome in, my friend. Good to see you. If you had CCU to the bomber before module release, you received the torp module. Yes, you did. So it used to be the Retaliator bomber and the Retaliator base variants. If you had the bomber, you've got the modules. So that's why I've still got the modules. They come. Do you remember what we said about CCUs keeping each item in the pledge as they go up? The modules is one of the items you retain. So I've got a Retaliator base and I've got the torp modules through it because of a completely unrelated ship. So that's how that works. So that's where we go with that. I actually quite like the Sabre. I enjoyed flying it, the base Sabre. Really quite enjoy it. It's a good looking ship. I like how kind of aggressive and hunched it looks. Sorry, tired. Yep, Sabre comment fired, Sabre Firebird, Sabre Peregrine. I mean, just Sabre. Died to this thing a few times. The missile variant, gone stealth. They would just, or you would get missile locked in missiles out of nowhere, and you know, I think we've all died to that. Vulture, My Vulture has died to the Sabre more times than I've slammed it into a planet. And as the guys in the Discord, linked in the description below, will tell you, I slam it into the planet a lot. So yeah, it's quite the hunter. So yeah, the racing version, the Peregrine. I think those are the people that get it for racing say they really enjoy it. It's not my thing. So Vanguard Harbinger, then the Vanguard series. There's two in here that I want to talk about, and they are probably not the ones that that you would expect. The Vanguard Hoplite is in a really. I feel like the Redeemer coming out really kicked the Hoplite in the nuts. So yeah, I feel a bit bad for it. I like the idea of the hoplite. I like the idea of a ship that comes in, is able to hold its own a little bit in combat, you know, kind of puts a team of on the ground and then basically takes off and supports them from the air. I think that's a really nice thing. I just think there's so much that the Redeemer does better than the Vanguard. It does everything better. There's not anything that this does. The only thing that you can say is the hoplite will fit in more things, and it's a far lesser crew requirement to use everything on board. I think that's it. There's definitely. I'm not saying that it's useless. I'm just saying between the two, the Redeemer does better. Although the price, I guess, kind of reflects that. So yeah. Hoplite was introduced because the Redeemer lost its dropship capabilities, but has no place anymore. To be honest, there are all good ships in that series: beds, weapons, and components. Hoplite is our Black Hawk, so no battle cruiser. Spectre 40k, no, and I really don't think it's coming next year, but we'll get onto that. Let's talk about that in a moment. It just looks stealth retaliator per CIG's gunship, not bomber. Is that what they said? I think it does because it's got it's got cargo, it's got living quarters, it's got all that sort of stuff. Hoplite may benefit from passenger gameplay, very possibly. I think that ability to be able to go pick people up or drop people off in a combat environment is probably where this thing it will do better. But again, there are other options for it. So Sentinel then. The Sentinel for me is the one that really stands out. And it's because of a very seldom talked about feature, gameplay loop, that this thing is going into. The Vanguard Sentinel is an electronic warfare ship. So, EMP, distortion cannons, and deadly missiles, it says here. They have plans for electronic warfare. There is actually, in the comlink, there's an electronic warfare description. I think I've got it on here somewhere. I'll have a look very quickly while we're talking. But there is information about somewhere within the Robert Space Industries website. There's a talk about electronic warfare and how that's going to look in Star Citizen. And I find that really exciting. So here's this. Okay, the Vanguard Sentinel is the latest dedicated e-warfare ship in the arsenal. Okay, so what they're talking about here, yeah, is you've got your signatures. We've got this sort of stuff in now or coming in. Okay, and then they're talking about radar and scanning and all that sort of stuff, passive, active, undetectable. And then they talk about this. And this is really interesting. So this is offense-based electronic warfare. Yeah, stealth components and all that, that's all defensive stuff. It's about masking, it's about making yourself less visible. It's basically camouflage in the electromagnetic spectrum. Right? That's what defensive e-warfare is. And I can talk about this a lot because this is directly relevant to my naval experience, my Royal Navy background. We did a lot on this. So basically, a ship puts out a bunch of signals, right? And depending on what radar you use, determines the band that it's in. So there are certain bands of the EM spectrum that are very well suited to navigation radar. Yep, very high definition, don't need to turn so quick. Yep, they don't need to rotate as quickly, but they give very high definition, so you can get very accurate picture of precisely where the land and buoys and other vessels are. Airband radar need to reflect off much smaller objects. They turn much quicker. Yep, to keep up to date with fast moving objects. So that sort of stuff works in a different band again, and so on and so on. So if you're listening, if you imagine you can hear what you're doing is you're talking about conversation. So you're listening to people whisper. And what you can determine by that is they're talking about something they don't want other people to hear. You've got people talking at a normal voice. You've got people raising their voice and adding a lot more strength to it and a lot more timbre without actually shouting. They're just making it a lot more forceful, as I've tried to do there. Let me know if that worked. And then you've got the people out and out shouting. You've got people screaming at each other in terms of fun. You've got people screaming in horror, and you can hear the differences, right? And EM is very much like that. What you're doing is you can tell you're listening on the EM spectrum and you're going, okay, that's a navigation band radar. So that could be anything. Because every ship of like a couple thousand tons and above has an EM radar, has a navigation radar on it. If you pick up a missile lock-on, like a targeting radar, the Evergreen doesn't have a targeting radar. Why would a cargo ship have a targeting radar? So the minute you get a targeting radar, what you can't do is you can't determine range, but you can determine bearings. You go, okay, down there's a warship. Because only warships carry stuff that allow weapon systems to lock on, right? So down there's a warship. So what you'll find is lots of ships will go around with only their navigation radars on, because then they look like any other cargo ship, because all you have in the real world is a paint on a radar. And you're like, well, that's navigation, that's navigation, that's navigation, that's navigation. There's nothing. The minute someone turns a military grade radar on, you go, that's the warship. Because what you do is you paint the bearing. You go, okay, it's down that bearing. How many contacts have we got down that bearing? Just one. Found the warship. That one's the warship. Do you see what I mean? So this is why electronic warfare to me is absolutely fascinating. This sort of stuff is going to be really, really useful, I think, in game, right? So what we've got here is we've got EMP. We've seen the EMP in there, and we've had a bit of a use. Although I hope that make that a little bit more useful in the future. Data spike missiles. A data spike will allow a pilot to establish a direct link with their target's computer, providing a window to attempt the shutdown of critical systems like propulsion, weapons, shields, and cooling. This should prove especially useful for pilots hoping to capture their prey intact through boarding operations. Beyond data spike missiles, there will be additional special equipment to engage in ship-to-ship disruption, such as aggressive avionics modules and hacking arrays. Distortion, we've seen. Signal intercept, the most passive form, because all you've got to do is listen, right? Imagine a room where all the lights are turned off. This is an EM thing, right? If you've got two people whispering, if you're moving around the room very, very quietly, at some point you're going to hear them, so you're going to know where they are. If you've got two people talking, you'll hear them. If you've got two people shouting, you'll know where they are, right? Signal intercept is you're just staying as quiet as a mouse and you're just listening and you're picking up everything around you. That's what signal intercept is. Most passive form of electronic warfare, signal intercept covers the basics of interfering with a target's communications or scanning system, intercepting them, listening to them, and hopefully being able to decrypt them. And this is why radio traffic and other signals within military systems are encrypted. That yes, you can hear them, you just don't know what they're saying. This was the thing with Enigma. This is what made Enigma so powerful. Enigma was sent over every frequency. You could pick it up. Anyone with a amateur radio kit could listen to Enigma. What made Enigma so hard to bust was you just had random sequences of letters, just blocks of 5 letters, and you had no idea what they meant. So you can listen to it as much as you want. You can't decipher the meaning. That's why encryption is something else, and that's where hacking hopefully is going to come into this game. This includes tracking target signatures, intercepting, rerouting, and scrambling outbound communications, or causing direct interference to radar and scanner systems. Now, how's this going to work in game? Answer, I don't know. But here's how it might work. They're not going to do this to your voice comms. There's no point. If I scramble your in-game communications, you use Discord. Right? It's as simple as that. There's no point. If using in-game communications just puts you at a disadvantage, no point in using it. The way this might work, okay, let's say, for example, if anyone's played World of War Tanks or World of Warship, so World of War Tanks? World of Tanks or World of Warships? One idiot. One player spotting an enemy means everyone spots it, right? Now, what you could do is you could play with that, because at the moment, if I detect a ship in this game and I'm part of a group of ships, that doesn't mean everyone in the group immediately spots it and knows where it is. That would be something that you could push out as a signal. As a group, you identify something, the group now knows where that signal is. However, it says here, rerouting or scrambling outbound communications, if you've got the right modules, you could scramble that ability. Yeah, and they're going, it's right there, I can see it, I've got it selected, I can't see it. Damn, he must have a scrambler. That's how that could play out in game, right? Not affecting the stuff that we use, and we could just effectively cheese. Oh no, my in-game communications are scrambled. Hello, Discord. Oh no, we're getting jammed. Lol. You see what I mean? Okay. Special equipment is another thing here. Includes ship-mounted antenna systems and custom avionics modules to aid with storage, decryption, and encryptions of transmissions in a local space. Okay. And then you've got defenses, which are basically, they're talking about chaff and countermeasures. So you have EM, which is basically something that puts out an electromagnetic signature to try and attract missiles that are seeking on that. Heat, so flares, right? Something that's there to mimic the heat of the engine. Data chaff, this is not so much something that's used in the real world. But pilots can use data chaff to guard against attacks to their communications and scanners. When launched, the data chaff will make it much harder for the attacker to establish or maintain their lock. So what happens with this is there's something that we launched called, and I'm not giving away no military secrets here, this stuff is publicly available, but it's little strips of tinfoil. Doesn't look to do much until you look at it through a radar screen, and then it just creates this huge area of returns because they kind of spiral and get caught at all things. So that would be the same sort of thing. And then here we go. It's kind of the decoy missile. A missile that when fired broadcasts appropriate signatures to assume the identity. This doesn't. This just looks like another contact on radar. Okay. So there's that. Sorry, that's a lot of information in a very, very short space of time. But yes. So I don't know how much stuff came out there and how many comments we got, but there's that. Interested, says Truther? I hope it is. I hope it's useful. But that's roughly what what electronic warfare will look like, or could look like, in Star Citizen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this over here. I'm going to pop the link for those notes into the chat. There we go. So if you want to read them at your leisure, there you go. Bookmark it. Have a read. It's very, very old is all I will say. And what I do notice here is very little of this is talking about that sort of capability. That might just be because it's not there at the moment. That might indicate a design shift. Maybe I'll ask them. Maybe I'll pop a message in Spectrum and say, are you still intending to do e-warfare? But that's why I like the Sentinel. That's why, if you look at a lot of my fleets, based on that information in that link, the Sentinel makes it into a lot of my fleets. Vulcan, I'm looking forward to this one. The medium repair refuel, okay, and it says rearms there as well. So the drones are able to do multiple things, take missiles out to refuel, drop other stuff in. This is going to be a long old ship. As they said, the first iteration of this, like they said with the Hammerhead and the Perseus, what will happen is when you're shooting rounds, if you've got ammunition in your cargo grid, it will just take from the cargo grid. Much later on down the line, there's going to be the option to then, or that you will have to, take the ammunition in smaller crates, I guess, to the reload hoppers and then pop that in. They talked about that being visual on the Starlance attack and the space for it in the Perseus. So that's where you'll be doing that sort of stuff, and that's cool as well. But I think that's more likely where you'll get something like the Vulcan. I think the Vulcan's still a long old way down the line. New Hammerhead kit variant, question mark. There's nothing really next year that excited me except the new Kruger Stingray. I'd like to finally see a Kruger interior, remembering the opening to Star Wars Episode 2, very possibly. Anyone know offhand if the Zeus are generally available for sale outside of IE? I'm not sure, Galaron. I'm sure someone will be able to check. If not, we can go and have a look in a second. So there we go. Yeah, and that is it. That is literally the lineup. Now, what I would be interested in seeing, if we go back to it, just going to come back to that in a second, is, let's have a look. Well, that's interesting. But it's not quite there. That's kind of people going, oh, it's getting to the end. I'll buy the war bond anyway. I guess we'll find out in 23 minutes what the first hour looked like for Aegis with both the Javelin and the Idris on sale. I guess we'll find out, right? I'm kind of looking for that. Yeah, 40k stuff, nice. Magpies and the Necrons. Magpies being Blood Ravens. Yeah? Yeah, bloody Magpies. Blood Ravens. What am I on about? Of course that's what you mean. There you go. I hope the Vulcan grows just enough to give the crew berthing and amenities for long-range support ops. I hope so too. There was some. They did some interior stuff on the Vulcan, didn't they? Let's have a look. Here we go. They did some interior work on the Vulcan. Some. It was concepting. But let's see if we can find those images. Oh, did I want to do that? No, I wanted to do that instead. Now, are the concept images in here? You'd think they would be, right? And yet. Oh, there we go. So what do we got here? Yeah, it doesn't look like. Oh no, you've got amenities in the back there. There you go. You got bunks. You got bunks and a crew table. So success. I mean, possibly. The thing with the Vulcan is so much of what it does is through drones. So it looks like, you know, so much of that ship repair at the moment is going to be go land at a landing zone or go land in a ship that can fit you. So they talked about, you know, for the what's the thing coming up, the fleet battle thing, whatever it's called, tactical group battles, that sort of stuff. They're talking about you'll land in an Idris, for example, and what you'll do is you'll go to Moby-Glass and rearm, repair, refuel from that. It won't be a physical running out for this first iteration. So I'm really not sure if the Vulcan. I mean, I want it to be. It's one of my CCU. In fact, it's two of my CCU chains, right? I go up through this to the Apollo, and then I've actually got one going to this directly in case I like both ships, right? This is why I haven't applied the Apollo yet, because I want to see what this does first. I'm also now less sure about the Apollo because it had its drones removed as well. But that's why I like this, and that's why I think we might be waiting a little longer. So much of this needs the drones to be able to take the weapons, the missiles and ammunition to other ships, and be able to go out and repair themselves. So we're not just waiting for repair; we're waiting for drones as well. And I know that's not what people want to hear. I apologise. I just think that's the reality. Sorry. What I quite like about this is there's obviously space in here in hair. There's space in hair. There's hair in space. There's space in here for them to be able to do other things as well if they wanted to. There's space up at the front. There's a lot more kind of space in here they can muck around with. There's this sort of stuff which maybe would allow stuff to be fed into the hoppers down here to be fed straight up to the drones. They've got room, right, to really have a think about this ship and get it to work well. And I hope they do that. I'd much rather get a Vulcan that's like, holy crap, like this is really well designed, as opposed to getting it quick and then going, oh, I wish they thought about this stuff. So yeah. Do not forget the in-game maintenance cost for those capital ships. Yeah, that's going to be rough. They need to test drones for building. Vulcan would fit this. Yeah, so you'll obviously have the base building drones. I don't think they're going to work quite the same way as this, because effectively they're going to be autonomous. You could land, for example, the Star Lancer build, get the drones to go. You can fly away, and the drones will keep working until they run out of resources or fuel, and then you just what they've said at the moment. This is the intent: is you will then go and basically rearm the Star Lancer build at a base, just like you would do for missiles and chaff. It'll put the drones back in, you can go again. Or you can leave your Star Lancer build on site, and then when the drones are finished, or when they need to refuel, they'll go back to the build. So that's how that's planned to work. Back when they last talked about this, that was after the Manchester CitizenCon when they talked about base building. Of course, all details subject to change as always, as we found out yesterday. Yeah. 2 new Aegis paints, she said. Let's have a look. I think it's quicker to go this way, isn't it? I'm here, Idris. There we go. View offers. Are they new paints, or are they new paints? No. I've just taken to making stupid noises now. Right. Let's have a look. Sorry. I'm kind of losing it. It's lots of... And yesterday was a long old stream. It was a good stream, but it was a long stream. So that's where we go. So let's have a look for the Idris paints. We've got Idris. What? How are there not... How are there not paints for the Idris? How are there not paints for the Idris? I have to go find them, aren't I? Do you know what? I feel like I'm losing my mind sometimes with this game. The goddamn pledge store. Right, so on the Aegis page. So did you say at the bottom of here? Good. This is working really well. I think we broke the website. I think the F5 wars have just completely knackered the website. You see what I mean? Here we go. Here we go. We got featured paints, but I'm not seeing them. It's on the Aegis page. See, I hear you saying that, but I'm looking at the Aegis page. Oh, you probably have to own it. Okay, so if anyone has the Idris, you want to fire those pictures of those paints to me in Discord, and we'll have a sneak peek, and we'll all be rude and have a look at the stuff that we shouldn't be looking at. Welcome to Piran Hacks. Hopefully, I'm saying that right. To Adrian Moxica, good to see you both. Welcome in. And Bigger Winchester, didn't see you there. Greed, good to see you. And everyone else that I've missed saying hello to, Chaos Squall, Galaron Runner, welcome in, ladies and gents. Fishhead Break Room. Do you know what? I see that, and I just I remember the story you told me. So yeah, and now I want to throw up in my mouth a little. So yeah, there we go. That's all that stuff too. Now, whilst we're waiting for those paints to come through, there is something that seems to have upset the conversation quite significantly. Damon, the link's in the description, my friend. There should be a community link to the Discord down below. Meatjack's good to see you. Do you think it's worth it to have a Peacekeeper without a kit? Yes. I'm just thinking through all possible permutations of that. I think the Idris is more than enough of a capable platform that even the loss of its main chin weapon, it's going to be very, very useful. Is it that right now? Possibly not. The minute they put in the ability to land on it, repair, rearm, refuel, yes, because it's fulfilling its primary role. I also think that it is so multi-role. There are so many things you can do with it. If you take the time to load up, to buy and load up, from the in-game stores, and load up an MPUV for the roles that you know that you're going to do, be it tractor, be it personnel, be it cargo, that sort of stuff, I think that ship's going to be in a very, very good space. Then, when you get to the point of being able to take items that you need for a ship direct from a cargo grid, you're there. That ship is incredible. So, there we go. Sorry, no interest in my hanger. Yeah, no worries at all. Ooh, I got lots of pictures sent through. Thank you very much for that. Okay. Ooh, do you know what? I see where you're going with that. Okay, so let's save that. Save. And then hopefully I open it, question mark? Maybe it's over here. Maybe it's over here. There we go. Ta-da. So this is the, just let me get this right. This is the Sea Serpent paint. And you're right, I haven't heard of that one before. Oh no, sorry, this is Iron Core. I do apologise. This is the Iron Core. The other one is Sea Serpent, which I'm going to load up in just a second. Yeah, and this is, yeah, there we go. I've opened that. This is the Sea Serpent paint. I actually quite like both of those. I like that they are a little bit more understated. That's kind of cool. Thank you also to everyone else. I can't see you because I'm in streamer mode, but to everyone else who shared them as well. Thank you ever so much for sharing them. They are, it looks like $25 for the Iron Core, and I'm guessing the same for the other one. Oh no, $20 for the Sea Serpent. Why different prices? I guess they're expecting the Iron Core. So this one on the screen at the minute is 20, and then the other one is 25. So yeah, interesting. Thank you everyone for sharing those, for sending them through. Yeah, really interesting. Iron Core on the new updated model, Gribbling will be insane. Don't know though, I got the Marauder paint for the K kit, pretty close to the Iron Core. If you own the 3-pack, melt it and buy the 5-pack, says Neil B. Yeah, so there's that. They're kind of, they're interesting. I like the shark mouth, says PQ. There's a lot of people liking the shark mouth. That's really cool. Right, so I've scrolled down. What I would ask is, I don't ever share these things to have people like basically dogpiled. So please don't. You know, if you're going to go there, A, I didn't send you, and B, you know, just people will never listen to argumentative points of view. Constructive is the only way to go, right? And I've said this forever. If you want to talk to CIG and you want them to actually listen, getting really angry about it, you know, and this goes for anyone, not just CIG, is not the way to get them to listen, right? They're just going to shut down and not listen to you. But what we're saying here effectively is, for those that don't know, the hull D and hull E capacities have been cut down massively. Huge cut down between the two. Okay, so if I just go for the hull series now, oh, of course I put hull in and you still don't get the ships that you want. Where are they? Hull D and hull E. Okay, what you're going to see here is their old capacities. Okay, so hull D is this left-hand column, hull E is this right-hand column. They were originally listed as 20,000 SCU and 98,304 SCU. Okay, they have since been cut down massively to just over 6,000 for this one. So that's just under, you know, that's just under 3 times, or that's about 3 times less. Does that make sense? You get what I mean, right? That's a third. That's what I'm trying to say. It's a third. It's a third. And this one has been cut down to 12. Okay, so you're talking about an eighth of what it was before. On the face of it, they are huge reductions. Now, a lot of people are really, really upset that this has happened. I say a lot. Some people are really upset that this happened, and then everyone just kind of dogpiled on here. I'd be really interested to know how many of these people actually own them. But there you go. Okay, so there's a little bit of people being upset. Now, if I move this across so we can see the other holes in comparison. Okay. Yeah, 32 SCU cargo containers are the largest ones they're going to do. So whatever cargo capacity that you've got to divide it by 32, and that tells you how many containers of the largest size you need to load up. Now, I remember when we first looked at these on MISC Day, and I read that back, 98,000 seemed utterly ridiculous, and it turns out that it is. Right? 20,000 still seemed high. 98,000 was just ludicrous, and that's what they've said. The part of the complaint that I think is absolutely right is the minute they decided this change, this should have been updated. It should not be 24 hours later, about to go into a weekend in 10 minutes when they sign off work. That should not read that. 100%. That should now reflect the correct information. I don't care that another team is doing it. I don't care that it's someone else that it's marketing and not the ship team. That should be standardized over everything. If it's going up, it's not as urgent. If it's going down, you must have done that. And the other part of that, I will say, is that absolutely should have been done before MISC Day. Because you let a bunch of people buy D's and E's. And they didn't know. Not only that, you knew it and you didn't tell them. That is horseshit. There's no other way to describe it, right? It doesn't matter the reasoning. You don't let people buy stuff whilst you're telling them information you absolutely know to be incomplete and outdated. That's horseshit. Yeah. A video should have gone live that day. There should have been a video, right? It should have been a pop-up when you bought these ships, right? Now, the reasoning behind, I understand. It was before they did SCUs because they had a funny name for the previous freight units. You figure it out. It wasn't going to be SCU like it was now. They were concepted very, very early on before they arrived at anything like the metrics. I can understand why they've arrived where they've arrived. And I can understand the change. What you can't do is take people's money whilst you know that they're operating on the basis of false information. And what they should have done was offered those that have bought them some sort of... Do you offer them a full refund? I mean, I don't know. My customer service head says, yeah, you should. But at the very least, you offer them if you're not going to give them a full refund, you've got to give them more than the value of what they paid for. Because they went after that ship. And if not, you just piss them off. At the end of the day, we're talking about digital assets. So yeah. So that's where I am. Yeah, so that's it, Malemba. That's what I'm thinking. Welcome in again. Shade, good to see you. Marcus, hello, buddy. Yeah, so that's where we are with this. I do think that even 12,000 SCU is crazy big. But they have said now there will not be anything bigger. They are the absolute, super freighters of the Star Citizen world. In that, as long as they stick to that and they don't release bigger than those, good. They need to stick to it. I get what you're saying, PQ, and they're always going to look to add more ships. But I think with this, they box themselves in. And if they're not going to do something about it, if they're going to say... Now, what I won't say is, in terms of reducing the price, they are massively underpriced. There's no contest. They are so far underpriced, it is crazy. So if we go to Hulley detail page, I mean, maybe not this one. View offers. I mean, that's the only way you can get it at the minute. But if we go to, I don't know, I'll go to an upgrade part, right? Go to my hangar. Ship upgrades. No, you can't see the start getting thing, you rotters. We go to all ships. Let's go down to where they sit. Right. We've still got a way to go. Sorry. We've got a way to go down here. So the whole C at 500, the whole D at 550. I'm sorry. That one was supposed to be 20k. That one was supposed to be 98k. They are massively underpriced for what they are in terms of SCU. Put them up against okay, you know, the Ironclad is up to what now? 2k. So you're getting 3 times the cargo for $50 more. Now I know what people are going to say. But Badgers, the SCU carrying capacity isn't the only thing. It's the armor, it's the turrets, it's the everything else, right? I agree. I also think that if you're carrying the Hull C, if that's the ship that you're in, right, the idea that turrets and armor bother you is probably a bit of a weak argument, given the fact that all your cargo is on the outside. You're not that bothered about protecting it. Yeah, that's why you carry in bulk. So yes, there are other parts of that. I just think when we saw the Hull C go up as much as we did, the Hull B is going to jump as well. The Hull A is going to jump a little bit. B is going to go up significantly. The D would have gone up hugely, if not before its release, and then again at release, definitely at its release. That thing is utter lunacy. And I really don't think that we have any concept of just how big that thing is. Because all of it, and people go, yeah, it's on the ship matrix badges. I'm not saying you guys, but you know what people will say. It's in the ship matrix. We know exactly how big it is. No, we don't, because they sized it out and realised it wouldn't all fit on the old chassis. So they've said they couldn't make it big enough to fit the 98,000 because the proportions got too ridiculous. So that which means they didn't expand it to 98k. That doesn't mean it hasn't changed, and I would fully expect the dimensions to have changed. If they haven't changed the SCU on the ship matrix, they haven't changed the dimensions either. It wouldn't make any sense, but it's going to change. It is going to change whether they like it. E pledge is 750, D is 550. So yeah, for the cargo cap, they're dead cheap anyway compared to everything else. Yeah. So we looked at the Hull C as well. Sorry, what do you mean you showed Hull C and D? And price wise, yeah, where's the Hull E? Oh my god, Star Citizen, stop selling ships. Oh, Hull E, yeah, 750. Even so. Even so. Right. Still, for that size and price, you know, 12,000 is now what, 6 times the Ironclad? You're not gonna win that fight. I just there's no way. There's no way. That's just crazy amounts of input. So yeah. Hull B original 90, now 140. Let's see where she explodes to. And she is going to go up. Given the fact she's gone up in cargo according to yesterday, I can't remember what the figures are. I put it in the stream at the time, but it's gone out of my head. They also have the consolidated outline super freighter they showed in the Squadron 42 trailer that I'm betting will be a DE competitor. Possibly, whether that ever comes out, we'll see. I think they'll get additional features. As they've said, all capital ships will have the right features, snub bays, etc. There'll be other stuff added, but I think what they'll do now is they'll couch the we were offering 700, 98,000 SCU for 750. We won't go down in price. They'll get other stuff added to them. Just as you're saying there, you're right. The iron paint is too shiny, says Piranha, like an unpainted car. Fair enough. Even with the new reduced capacity of the D&E, they're still the best value per SCU by a huge margins of shade. You're right. The Hull C is more than big enough, let alone the absurd amounts that were prospected for the later models. Yeah. They're huge. It's still way underpriced, I agree, and that's why I don't like this. Let's go back to it. I don't like this idea. They were massively underpriced. They were underpriced since when they first created. When I think CIG had no idea they were going to reduce this, or sorry, produce this level of ships. So yeah. How did you get all the ships? So, Onertiki. I'm really sorry, mate, if I'm butchering that. I don't mean to. So what you do is within the upgrades page, if you want to go to upgrades, is do it on the left side. You can upgrade from stuff. You just can't upgrade to stuff when it's time limited. So on the from page, you'll see everything. It's the ships on the to side that you'll struggle with. So on from, just click all ships, and you'll get everything. Ta-da! Yeah, so there you go. Or almost everything. Even ships that you shouldn't be able to upgrade from because there's nothing to upgrade to because they're over $1,000. So there we go. Yeah. Interesting. Full 32 SU load Holly should now take a crew of 6 about 1 to 2 hours, assuming a crate loaded every 1 to 2 minutes. I mean, it's going to be. I have no idea on the. No, you're all good. You're all good. It's all good, my friend. Yeah. So huge amounts of cargo. Like I get, there are parts here that I think are absolutely just objectively, no matter whether you like, hate, whatever, the selling of it when you knew the information was going to change is a no-no. Don't do it. Don't do that again. Hopefully they learn from this and go, hey, we heard you the last time. We won't do this. In terms of the price and the where they sit, I don't think invalidates them as hulls. They're still going to be the largest haulers in the game, and they were, if we're being honest with ourselves, massively underpriced when it came to it. So that would be my thoughts on it. And I'm sure I've upset some people with that thought process, but that's where we go. Holy shit. Holy shit. There you go. So in the first hour of the Aegis sale, they've taken $665,000. That's what selling the Aegis and the Javelin gets you, boys and girls. Holy crap. That's just mental. So yeah. That's kind of crazy. I don't think it will take even that long. It'll take one person in a floating track to be maybe 30 seconds to load a crate. Exactly that. I see the whole D&E Fallout still going on. Honestly, I don't think people really understand. No, it's not Fallout so much. It's just I was responding to a post on Spectrum. They were talking about how like they should downgrade it. So, sorry, they should down price it. They should reduce the price of them both for the real world money. And I was saying that they're massively underpriced anyway, so it's not really that. So yeah, few people said there was a whole ECCU at the initial sale, but never again after that. Interesting. Turn the Hulley into a cargo ship that just carries A's to C's. Just hullception. Just hulls upon hulls upon hulls. So yeah. The other thing to bear in mind is the capacity of what you're taking from. So someone, I don't know if he's here, but Spaced mentioned about the capacity of the external freight elevators don't match anything like the capacity of the Holly. So you've got to unload the entire elevator and then you've got to refill it, however long that takes. I don't know. I've not engaged in the gameplay yet, so I don't know how that works. But yeah, that ain't going to be quick, yo. So yeah, it's going to be. Will the fun encounter break when he needs to add another zero? Very, very possibly. Yeah, that's a good point. Can that go up to 10 figures? I mean, I'm sure they've gone, yeah, this is going to happen. And it's going to happen, right? We're going to break 1 billion. There's no way that we don't. There's no way that we don't. Unless something catastrophic happens. that causes all faith in the project to die overnight. I just think from the sale of Squadron 42 alone, they'll make 100 mil. Easy make 100 mil. Because that game is going to appeal to people who don't want to play MMOs. It's a single player. It's gonna have different appeal. So yeah, they're gonna bust 100. They're gonna bust 1 billion easy. It's just whoa, they're gonna be there. So yeah. Black Mage says, welcome in, bud. I want them to come out with more ships that are approaching the size of the E&D, especially alien ships. The Xi'an come to mind. Gatak would have at the very least a 10k SCU. But we'll see. You know, I'm sure they will, but at the moment, like, it's just such not a priority. They did say, very interesting, they said if you looked at the grid, right, if you got a grid, and across the top you put all of the professions, and down the side you put all of the sizes. Yeah, so you put extra small, small, medium, large, all that sort of stuff. They said there isn't even one in each category. And then even that's not enough because they want competitors. So will there be a Hull D competitor, a Hull E competitor in the future? Yes. Will that likely be added at a point where they can deliver it purely through the game and not necessarily through sales? I think also yes. I think going forward, they have to be specifically careful about what they do with the whole D&E because of what happened now. Then again, they might just go, hey, it's a change. You know when you ticked and you hit agree when you bought stuff and it said things might change in the future? Ta-da, it's changed. But like I said, for anyone that's got a whole D and a whole E and feels completely aggrieved, the worst you can do is go to customer service and go, I want to melt it, or I want a refund or whatever. The worst they can do is say no. They're not going to do anything bad to you. Just ask. If that's what you want, just ask. $15 used to get a CCU token for a whole D from an Ironclad Assault, whose price might go up as well. And so this is the thing with, it's great to go from something who's released to something that's not released. It's questionable to go from unreleased to unreleased. What you don't want to do is go from unreleased to released, because the unreleased will go up in price and actually you end up going backwards. I mean, and this is the weird thing with CCUs, is at the end of the day, you've still paid the same price, regardless of that value could go up to whatever, infinite amounts of money. You've still paid the same to get the ship that you want, so it is a little bit dodgy sometimes, but that's where we are. I still miss freight units. Yeah. I need 32 FUs. Oh. Sad Trombone says Ocean 911. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Look, they've turned around and said, and whether this is true or not, or whether this is just cope, I don't know. But they did turn around and say, look, we cannot fit this in physically because it will break the servers if we do, it will break the economy if we do. I think I think it's really hard to demand that they continue doing the same thing, knowing that it's going to break the servers and knowing that it's going to break the economy. The only question is, how aggrieved do you feel by CIG? What do you want them to do for you? And that only applies to whole D&E owners. The rest of us, you just got to bear that in mind when you pledge next. I mean, I won't pledge for anything if I'm not comfortable that it might change and that changes might destroy it. I mean, I'm up to the medevac, right? The drones now have made me not sure that I want the net medevac. Of course, I'm going to keep the chain because the chain's going to get me somewhere else. But I haven't applied the medevac yet because I might not want to. So, and that's the thing is, do I feel aggrieved that they took the drones off? Yes. Is it enough for me to whinge about it after it first happened? No, it's fine. It is what it is, right? So there we go. They should at least let you choose any war bond price ship up to or up the ship's cost. Yeah, that. Yeah, if the pledge for that was war bond, then yeah, absolutely. And obviously for the IE, it's going to be right. Or it might be store credit, but still, yeah. Yeah, Mr. B Chunk's like, yeah, not doing Holly. There's not enough of us. Absolutely that. M2 to Hull D, I think is $30, so that'd be the least from a price stable ship. Exactly that shade. Yeah. Paladin patch bundle when? Yes. I don't know what else to say to that. The rest of us rejoice that this is a buff for everyone, even Hull D and Hull E owners. Yeah. So there we go. Fighters and miners have a capital ship with services for smaller ships. Why not Hull E? I think it would be offset. There's a lot of fun stuff they can do with a Hull E. I mean, and they will have to do something. If they're scaling that ship up to where it's so big, they're going to. That's what she said. Sorry, I couldn't let that go. My head just went. You're saying that. Yeah. My brain just went. You need to say that. I'm really sorry. My bad. I'm glad Luna's not in here. I'll be getting told off. C McD, welcome in. I have D's and E's. I took the news as mayor. Makes sense for the state of reasons. Not offended. I'm pleased. I'm glad that you're not bothered by it. That's good news. On to the Polaris, Idris, Perseus, Torps weapons debate. Oh, this is just going to get gnarly. This is just going to get gnarly. Look, I'm going to say this, right? And this is not just because I'm a Perseus owner. I think I don't like the Perseus having control of the top turret. I don't think that's the case. I think the Torps work because that's a nice allocation between the three people on the bridge. I think when you have as many positions on the bridge as you do on the Polaris and on the Idris, given the power of the main weapons they all tote, I don't think either of those, and I can already hear Dell hitting the roof with this, I don't think either of those ships should have pilot controlled main weapons. And I hear what they said about fixed weapons. I don't care. It should be as powerful as they are now, and if you are stupid enough to fly your Gladius right in front of that railgun and they get a shot off and they hit you, they should one-shot you and rip your ship into a bazillion pieces. I'm sorry. That, right? The Idris needs to be less nimble, so the beam weapon isn't as anywhere near as effective as it is. But again, the idea with the really big guns on those ships should be for everything that's small, stay the frick out of its front arcs. If you're sat there staring at the Idris and you can see down the railgun, you're doing it wrong. Just don't do that. Por favor, don't do that. Right? Just do not. There's no need. The beam weapon is excessive in the amount of time that it can fire. Absolutely, it should do the same amount of damage per second. It should just fire for less seconds, right, and then recharge. It's crazy powerful. The torps thing, no, there should be a torp control station on the bridge. Because otherwise, these ships become things that, with that amount of PDCs, they become self-flyable. I got capital shields. I don't give a crap how powerful you are from the Idris point of view, right? I've got speed in that on my side with the Polaris. So the Polaris not being able to fire, yes, you can do that from the bridge, which means that people can run from the pilot seat to the torpedo control console on the bridge, but you lose the 360 camera that you'd actually have at the torpedo control console. So all you know is if the Polaris suddenly stops moving, what am I going to say again? Get the fuck out of its front arcs. Now it can't lock onto you because it doesn't have the 360 camera. Ta-da! Fixed it. So that's where I am on this. I just think that is so much easier. Is should smaller ships like the Hammerhead be able to control the missiles? Yes. Should the Polaris be able to control its missiles? Yes. Not its torps, its missiles. Should the Perseus be able to fire its torps? Sure. Why not? What other station makes sense? There's only 3 stations on the bridge, 2 remote turrets and the pilot. All that sort of stuff, yes, because the Polaris's torps are so big, they are so powerful, that should be a coordination thing. There should be more of an issue to it than that, right? So there we go. Well, it's not the case that you're dodging it so much. It's that can you get out of its front arcs in the time that it takes to stop the ship, the person to get out of the seat, run round. You're not going to get away from it. Just get out of the front arcs. Just get away from that front view. That's all you got to do is get out of that, and that is remarkably easy. There is far more of space that is not in that front view than is. So there we go. That's it. Yeah. So your 600i, which one are we talking about? The Explorer or the Touring? Can you see where I'm going with this? Your 600i that is not designed for combat up against a combat subcap cap, right, is going to struggle to deal with the capital ship, is it? Oh no, that I would call that working as intended. Working as intended. That's what that is. So yeah, standing in the big red dragon attacking an MMO bit bad. Don't do that. Don't stand in the stuff. It's exactly that. I mean, you see where I'm going with that PQ is whether it's Explorer or Touring, which one of those screams combat to you? Yeah. Yeah, it is far too fast, Can, until you take someone out of the pilot seat. Because if the argument is, well, people can just, because this is the argument that I'm refuting, people are just going to, because I believe it's the argument you made, right, yesterday, which is people are just going to jump out of the pilot seat, run to the torpedo console on the bridge, and then fire the torpedoes. That takes time, and that means you are now flying in a fixed direction. If it's too fast, it's going to be really easy just to let it zoom past you, right? If it's not that fast, you'll be able to get out of the way, right? If you've got two people on the bridge, now it's working as intended. Now that's the point, is you can't just one-man the Polaris, okay? What they're trying to stop is, if you've got two people in an Idris at the moment, it is far more effective to run two people, two Idrises, than it is to fly two people, one Idris. That doesn't make sense. Same Polaris with its main weapons. I'm talking about, not the ancillary functions, not the launching planes and the other turrets. They've got PDCs. They'll be all right. If you know, like running, if you've got an aircraft carrier and you've got the minimum amount required to run it, you should take the minimum amount required to run it, not take multiple aircraft carriers enough for one person each that would have been in the minimum crew. That doesn't make sense. And I will die on this hill. It does not make sense. It refutes the idea of, because what do you do? You come up against a fully crewed Idris, but I've got two railguns, you've got one. You come up against a fully crewed Idris, I've got two beam weapons, you've got one. Doesn't matter how many players are on that thing, it dies. It just dies. And that doesn't make sense. Right? Because now, why would you ever run an Idris with more than one person on it? Yeah. Yeah, they need to not take the engagement, right? That. You think shooting a gun makes it soloable, so just screw off engineering. What it allows is the turret gunner to leave and fight fires. I agree with that 100%. But that turret gunner running around fighting fires is not going to stop two Idrises killing one. That one Idris is not going to survive that engagement because your turret gunners are able to run around fight fires. At the end of the day, you're still going to get soft death before that fully crewed Idris, before you kill the two one crew Idrises. It's unfortunate, right? It's a DPS output thing. They'll kill your shields and they'll kill the ship. They'll be in a bad way for it, but they'll kill you and they'll kill the ship. And as you're focusing one down to get through the shields, the other one jumps in the way. Right? The other one gets in the way of your beam Idris. So now you're only hitting the one with full health shields. The other one's regenerating. If they're even able to talk to each other, that's what they'll do, right? Can you get in the way for the moment? Because I need to regen my shields. Yeah, absolutely. I'll get in the way of it. Fine. I'll hide behind you for a bit. So there we go. This is the problem with arguing with sound bites, right? The railgun doesn't need to break the shields. No, but it needs to do 4 times the amount of damage, and it's not going to. How are you going to get 4 times the output from one railgun? You don't. There's 2 of them. There's 1 of you. Hello, socially. Good to see you. So yeah, so that's the problem with pilot-controlled weapons of ship killing stuff, right? It's the same with the Bengal. That big turret underneath should never be fixed and slaved to the pilot of the Bengal, right? That always should be a separate firing crew dealing with that. The people loading it or dealing with the turret itself and the person firing it, that should be their sole role. They shouldn't have anything else that they can do on that ship, and they shouldn't be able to multi-roll. And that is the, hey, you've got this incredibly powerful, I think they call it the Goliath, this Goliath weapon. You've got an incredibly powerful weapon. That should be your sole focus. No ships socially, unfortunately. That's the end of it. No weapons kits, no nothing, unfortunately. The only big surprise is what's on the screen at the minute, which is the $665,000 made in the first hour because Idris and Javelin sales. So yeah, nothing exciting for us, I'm afraid. Does CIG plan on keeping the autoload features for the whole series, or will eventually be manual? I think they're keeping autoload. I think basically what they've said is you can autoload, but expect it to be slower than loading it with your own crew. So yes, you can do that because they talked about you'll be able to do that, and then there'll be missions at the landing zone you can run around and do, connections you can make, that sort of stuff, all that sort of good stuff. So you can do that. It would be amazing if the ASD facility is a prototype Bengal weapon. That sort of thing. That big plasma gun. I mean, because they got the mast right, the rail cannon right at the bottom, and you hear him say, "Strip safeties from the Goliath. They're going to get close. We need to hit them live on launch." So he talks about that element of it. I do think that any major fixed weapons should be in the pilot's control, just because it's more intuitive, since the pilot literally has to aim the shot, which means they can engage the weapon. Missiles are another story, though. I think it's a case of coordination, right? That's what I think it is. You need to be able to coordinate with your crew members. Again, going back to the if you've got a fully crewed Idris, I'm just going to take enough Idrises. I'm going to take 1 player for every player you've got crewing on your Idris. They're all going to take a solo Idris. You can't. There's no cheesing that problem. For all that you're going to need the people to get out of the turrets and run around the ship, because you hit me with what's the crew of the Idris, 16, 18, whatever it is. Let's go conservative. Let's go 10. Right? You hit 1 ship with 1 beam weapons. 10 ships are hitting you with beam weapons. You'll be dead in moments. They'll overwhelm your shields. Your shields will be gone. And you hit 1, and then the others go, we'll get in the way, you fall back. So the one you've hit, the one you've done damage to the shields to, you've now got to start again with another ship while that ship's shields are recharging. They can do that ad infinitum, right? The engineering thing is going to be when you need to fix stuff and you're taking damage. It's not going to be that you need engineers of every moment all the time just to keep the ship running. There's nothing going wrong. There's no requirement for engineers. So there's that. So good or less good NPCs should react to it. How much autonomy do these get, or micromanagement jungle? Very possibly, and this is why I think it's probably going to be limited how many you get. There's going to be, maybe you set priorities for them. So hey, priority 1 is defense, priority 2 is firefighting, priority 3 is repair, and then you can change that around. So you could say priority 1 is firefighting, priority 2 is defense. So they sit in a turret, but the minute there's a fire, they evacuate the turret to go fight the fire. Like you can, I think that sort of thing would work. A more complex thing, not off the cards, certainly. I just think that's a very simple implementation. And later on, looking at How complex you make that, that's entirely up to CIG. You can get to the point of almost having like a real-time strategy look, go to the map, select the guy, tell them to go to do whatever you want, right click, that sort of stuff. You could go as complicated as you want with it. Yeah. Yeah, exactly, that can. Arcade Corner, welcome in. This kind of occurs anytime you have ships whose sole source of power is one weapon, 6 Polaris with 2 crewmates, or 1 fully crewed Polaris. The torps of the 6 will overwhelm the PDCs and nuke the Polaris. That. Keep in mind, autonomy is balancing issues. More autonomy as less real players are needed. Yeah, and they, like any game, there are going to be things that are out of your league and unable to do without the players. No one is running around, or very few people are running around at the moment, soloing, for example, fleet battles in EVE, or the big end raid bosses in WoW, or take your pick. Right? There's always content that's out of reach. What we're discovering at the moment is that we've previously only had content that you can solo. So there's people soloing the Yormandi and there's people soloing ASD, and all of a sudden now we've got stuff that you can't kind of solo anymore, and people don't like it. They were used to being able to do everything. This was always the intent. It's just going to be a case of some people are going to have to kind of learn to live with it. So that's where we are. Yeah, there's that. So anyway, so that's where I stand on the whole thing, the whole argument. And look, if people want to make the argument that, especially with 7 crew, now that there should be someone stood at the Perseus torpedo console, I get that too. As someone who's flown the the Perseus, with 2 turrets to deal with, to keep arcs on, actually being a good pilot, and I'm going to borrow this from Space because he said this when I was listening in the Discord, being a good pilot and making sure that both turrets have equal opportunities to hammer your target, to identify a target, to communicate that to your turrets, to make sure that that's the target that you track. You keep it in arcs, in a Perseus, which isn't the most maneuverable thing in the world, far from it. That, as a pilot, is going to take so much of your time. The minute you start focusing on your own weapon systems, your turrets suffer, and your turrets are a far greater output than arguably even your size 5 torps in a 2 salvo. So there's that. So there we go. Yeah, the new missions in ASD got naffed. They're supposed to be hard as nails. They're supposed to be group content. They were always were. If you can solo it, great. I'm not saying that people shouldn't be able to solo it. I'm saying that it should feel much more comfortable doing it in a group. And the idea of nerfing it just so it can be soloable just destroys the point of ASD, right? RJ86, welcome in, buddy. Because of player behaviour, many have to play alone since they're always killed on sight or shot in the back after a mission. Well, if you don't want to be shot on sight, and if you don't want to be killed at the end of a mission, you're always welcome to come and play with us. We don't do that to each other. If we do shoot you in the back, we will revive you and you'll still get the rewards. We're not that nasty. But what's most happened is if you go AFK in the pilot seat, that's incredibly dangerous in DGP because we will drug you. And you will fall out of this. In the game, not in real life. You'll fall out of the seat and then we'll look after you and move the seat. Just don't fall asleep in the seat. It's just don't go AFK in the pilot seat. Go AFK anywhere else, not in the pilot seat. Bad. Or in the front fighter of the rank of ships in an Idris. Don't do that either. That'll probably get your ship blown up. But there you go. Join the Discord and party up. Exactly that. We'll come and look after you. I think the NPC now was due to the NPCs getting a buff by mistake. Oh, was it? They did it both. So yeah, that's it. They can make it the second person has to manually manage the workings of the capital main gun and have pilot fire it. So yeah, I think this is the thing. This is, I think, what they're going to have to manage very, very carefully, and this is going to require different thinking to most MMOs. Is the simple, I need more people to manage one weapon system isn't necessarily going to solve this problem of I'll take the minimum amount to fire the main weapon on a capital ship. There are already ways that they're going to do that. They're going to look at the cost of running those ships together or independently. Yep. So we've discovered when the Polaris comes in, people were going, "Oh my god, my repairs are 1.2 mil." Yeah, they are. So that's one way of doing it. All of a sudden, running 6 and then trying to complete the missions, capital ship missions with 6 of them. Sure, they'll complete stuff quite quick, but they'll take damage because now fighters are getting through because you can't track them with the main guns. They'll be stripping one shield down, as they're already doing it. I noticed it in the Parseus. They were focusing the rear shields of my Parseus. Right? But that's, no matter how I manoeuvred, they were going for the rear shields. They've obviously been programmed that way. So you're going to start to take that damage. So the money is the one thing. The other things that happen on board, in terms of engineering, in terms of fires, all of that sort of stuff. What they need to do is not make it down to one particular fix. They need to mount it up. But all I'm saying is, if what you're going to do is overwhelm one other capital ship with a bunch at minimum crewing, that capital ship's going to be like, where's the point in crewing this up? That's where we're going. Anyway, in terms of next year, so no drinking game, lest the pilot fall out of their seat in real life. Yeah, exactly that. It's an accomplishment to run ASD solo, says Ken. To nerf it removes the good feelings when you make any headway. Yeah, exactly that. The American Aromantic, was that? Am I getting that right? There we go. Everyone wants an Admiral capital ship. That's what it's going to be. Are we getting the battlecruiser next year? I don't think that's what was said. Because that look from Jared when they said, did you just confuse the battle or confirm the battlecruiser for next year? That was frustration, not a cheeky yes, I have. So I don't think that's what was going on there. I mean, maybe it does, right? Maybe it is, but I don't think it is. The other question that I've got from that is, what then has happened to the cruiser and the fleet escort carrier? Because they are both also stretch goals along with the battlecruiser. Does that mean they're going straight to flyable, or have they abandoned plans for those ships? If they're going to be the last concept, because the capitals seem to always be concepts. I don't think we've had a straight to flyable. Well, we haven't, have we? We haven't had a straight to fly capital ship. Everything's been concept. So does that mean now they feel like they can make capitals straight to flyable, or does that mean we're not getting them? That's not what they said, Del. That's not what they said. They said it will come at a military thing. They didn't say for 2026. I don't believe that's what they said. Is this going to be another? This is going to be another Nix, isn't it? This is going to be another Nix. I'm not offering to eat anything. I'm not. I am not. There we go. We put that one to bed straight away. Similarly, meant they would sell the concept at Fleet Week to me. Yes, at a Fleet Week. He said if only there was a massive military festival. He didn't say 2026. Right. It'll probably just go for concept sales at ILW. Possibly. Don't know. So we can build it. That's different from the sales. So what they're saying is that the concepts. And the other thing with the cruiser is they've not confirmed that the variant is the cruiser that we're getting. It might be another cruiser type, right? It might be something that's been retired from active service, and that's why we're getting it. And this is the nice thing about it's the whole idea of variants, right? Not variants, competitors. That's the word I'm looking for. So competitors in the same slot. We might get a cruiser competitor, not the ones in the original system. So there we go. Bengal's not a fleet escort carrier. Pegasus is a fleet escort carrier. Bengal is not. Bengal's a fleet carrier. Different. Escort carrier and fleet carriers, different things. Just like battleship, battlecruiser are different things. Both got the word battle in them. Just like they both got the word carrier in them. There is genuinely a difference between the two. Trust me. The Squadron 42 cruiser looks good, so good with those turrets. Yeah, they did. That was the was it called the Aegis, where it gets its tail chopped off by the king ship. Yeah, that's stern if you're going to be in your nautical parlance. We're huffing up 2026 copium. Take a hit badges. No, you can't make me. I'm not having copium. I do need my bottle of copium, but I left it in the fridge, and I'm starting to drink out. So yeah, 907 mil in sales so far. Yeah, so since 2012, 907 mils in crowdfunding. Right, it's just mental. So that's where we are with all that. What do you think of the naming Deep Insertion Light Carrier? Asher, go away. Battlecruiser is years off. Certainly, I mean the concept might not be it might not be years and years off. The delivery of is certainly, because they said that they were talking about so many different plans for it in terms of gameplay. I'd imagine it's basically going to be your mobile org base that does everything, right? You can generate stuff. There'll be traders there. You'll be able to do so much on that thing as a civilianized warship. There's going to be so much that you can do. It's going to be kind of crazy. Honestly, I'd rather CIG do that than waste dev time for a ship that will be for the super whales. Yeah, possibly. Although bearing in mind it'll be something to earn up to in game, right? So there we go. To be honest, to me, the cruisers in the Squadron 42 gameplay, they feel a little bit like a low effort derivative of the Bengal. I know that's mean, but you look at the other ships in the fleet. You've got the Javelin, you've got the Hammerhead, you've got the other ships there. You got the Bengal, and then that cruiser just feels a little bit too close to the Bengal itself. But I mean, I could be wrong. It's just my personal feeling, right? I'm sure when it gets in the game, I'm going to be sat here going, "It's awesome!" But there we go. Rage Duke says, Squadron 42 has both the cruiser and escort carrier, so I think it'll be just like the Bengal. So, I mean, they might have decided to make the Bengal the escort carrier. That's not what it was originally, and that's why I want to ask the question. In fact, after this, I'll go and pop that on Spectrum. Deep strike light carrier. You are mistaken. You are correct. Here's the real question: what manufacturer, and will it be aimed at the UEN? Because it's not seen any of the material, obviously. So the battle cruiser isn't. Cruiser is. There is a cruiser. So fuck it. I'll go and have a look. Bear with me 2 seconds. So, I shall go and have a look. Let's have a look. Flashbang. Whee! Bear with me just a moment. I'll show you exactly why we know that ship in the Squadron 42 trailer is the cruiser. Bum, bum, bum. Right. Oh, there you go. So I'm just going to stand by for a second. I'm going to go through and find it. Lots of fighty. He does the talking. We do the shooty shoots. We go back to the ship. So here we go. So here's what really interesting. There's some mistakes in here. Okay. It's a fleet carrier. There we go. Not an escort carrier. Krugeri F carrier. Fleet carrier. Not an escort carrier. Different. Here's what was really interesting. Okay, so if we go, we'll see it in just a second because it zooms in. It's close enough for you to see it. Bum, bum, bum. Here we go. So you've got a couple of ships in here. There's Integrity, Corvus. It's the Argus that we're looking for, but I can't kind of see it. Maybe it's out here. Here we go. So Corvus actually says on it. So what's interesting here is that thing. Because I can't see the turrets on it. Maybe they've just not rendered in. So what you'll see here is we've got frigate being the Idris. That makes sense. We've got the Argus, which also says fleet carrier, but that is noticeably different from this. See that? This one here. The problem is, you might be right. Let's have a look. Do we go close enough to see it? No, we don't. Pace thing, isn't it? I have to remember the settings now. Playback speed. That. So the thing is, I think that also says F carrier. Right, I don't think that says E. It's too far away from there to tell, but and then it does it again somewhere on the. There we go. Trying to see where the other bit is. We might have missed it. But yeah, is it an E carrier, F carrier? Yeah, good question. Not sure at the moment, Rage Duke. So the other thing here is I don't think they finished updating everything. So you're going to get Bishop stand up and he goes to the back. What I really like about this is Mark Strong sees him go to the back, turns around, watches him. There you go, and comes straight over because he knows he's about to issue orders. Okay, so there's the Krugeri. You've got Corvus. I forget. There's a bit in here where you actually see Argus. I'll try and find it, but I think it actually calls Argus a carrier at the same time as well, which obviously is incorrect. Let's see. It might be here. Because of course Argus is the one that gets his back end shot off. Yeah, I'll find it. Yeah, Argus, P carrier, but it's not, right? It's a cruiser. Because if you look, there's another one in there that does say cruiser, and it's the same design as that one. The Integrity. P carrier, no clue. Good question, well asked. Fleet carrier, escort carrier, light carrier. There's no such thing as a patrol carrier. So at least not in the real world. There might be in Star Citizen world, and that's the difference. But yes. So at the moment there are cruisers in here. We just don't know that it's what they said that it is. What's the timestamp on that, Kaylin? Do you know it there? I think this is more from their view, their hollow view, than ours. Listen to me talking like we're part of the fleet. Yeah, that's from their view. Be cautious, my Korai. That's bad. Quite funny that the plane's crashing despite the fact there's no gravity. That's. And this is the bit where they get hammered, and then Squadron 42 does its thing. So yeah, there's another holographic display part in here somewhere, and I'm desperately trying to find it, where it clearly denotes that Argus is something else than it should be. But there is a cruiser. Here we go. Is that it? No, this is the bit. That's the bit that we've literally just looked at. I'm sorry, guys. Normally I'm better than this. Normally I know where it is. I can't remember where it is. Is it there? So Corvus is in there. You just can't kind of see what it is from that angle. Maybe it's in a little bit in the moment. Protected carrier, pocket carrier. I mean, possibly. We'll see in a moment. Maybe it's this bit when he walks across. There is a bit where you see it. Most people don't understand a lot of things. You're entirely correct, but that's where we are. So I want to find out. I want them to confirm what they're doing with the cruiser and what they're doing with the fleet carrier, whichever way round they are planning on playing that. Whichever way it goes, that'll be fine. Oh, that guy was so shocked he changed person. Corvus carrier, yeah, but it's not because the Corvus might be. Yeah, it's not whether it's a carrier. Is it E or F? I'm going to turn the sound on for this because this bit's just so good.
Because 2 billion souls in this system hang in the balance.
Yeah. So pocket carrier hasn't been used in a long old while. There's definitely pocket battleships. Pocket carriers, not sure.
Kingship has entered human space a handful of times. Battle of Orion, Siege of Tiber, the fall of.
I mean, if you're ever going to get someone to do a right speech, right, this is it. Holy moly. What a legend.
Will remember us differently. We will not have to worry about it being kind, because today we will define ourselves through our actions. We will not lose the system. We will not fall back.
I can only hope that the start of Operation Pitchfork is just as epic as this.
We fight today. So in 40 years from now, when you're surrounded by everything and everyone you hold dear, and they ask, what did you do in the Battle of Vega?
You just don't see it, do you?
You can look them in the eye and say, I held the line.
Oh, is that it there? Sorry, I've ruined it for you. I killed the speech before it ended. But he did say I held the line, so we got the important bit. But anyway, we're not here to talk about Squadron 42. I'm literally, you can go through and have a look through yourself. So yeah, it has no letter, just carrier. That's the Pegasus silhouette. Is it? Because the original Pegasus was a very different design to that. It was nothing like the Bengal. So yeah, sent you the last frame of the Corvus nameplate. Thank you. Let's have a look. Just says carrier. Yeah, so that might be it. It might be the escort carrier is now carrier and fleet carrier is now fleet carrier. So that might be the case. It's small, guys, so I won't bring that up. But that's where we are. So yeah. Other than that, obviously a lot of things been announced for next week. The bit that you might have missed, engineering will bring V1 armor. You heard that right. Engineering, next patch 4.5, brings with it V1 armor. So God only knows how that looks. ISC next week will have more details, and if I'm around, I will look to go live when ISC goes up, so we can talk about it then, which will be really, really cool. So that'll be that. Yeah, that's where we are at the moment. That's everything that's going on in Star Citizen at the moment. Obviously, you've still got a couple of days to get your Twitch drops. Watching on Twitch if you want to. And we will go live, not tomorrow now, not on Saturday, but on Sunday, ready for the finale. And for those that have just driven, for those that weren't at the beginning, there will be a video from me just before IAE goes live, and kind of like IAE changes over tomorrow. In that half an hour, somewhere from 3:30 onwards, little video, just an exciting update about the channel and something that's happening here that I'm really kind of keen to bring you and tell you all about. So that's going to be awesome. So that will hopefully get you in the news, ready to go. Is this a squadron video? No, Jordan. We basically looking at in the background there was some stuff about cruisers, fleet escort carriers, fleet carriers, escort carriers, that sort of stuff. So we were just having a look because the news that the battle cruiser is the only concept ship outstanding. There are still capitals they said they were going to deliver. We were trying to figure out whether they were now going to go straight to flyable without a concept phase, or whether they had abandoned plans to do those capital ships. And it's a question that I will pose on Squadron, on Spectrum a little bit later on. So that's where we are. Early or regular time on Sunday. So on Sunday will be this time, so it'll be 3:45. So UK time, just a quarter of an hour before the store changes over to the finale, so we can talk the War Bond stuff. I probably won't do the Sunday night stream, just because there's we've talked a lot of Star Citizen this week, and I feel like I would just be going over old ground, and I don't like repeating myself, even though I do it quite a bit. So there we go. So yeah, 3:45 on Sunday I will be back. Have a great day tomorrow. Enjoy the Best in Show stuff and the video that's coming out tomorrow. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Whatever it is that you're doing, look after yourselves, stay safe, and we will talk again soon, I have no doubt. He says as he's frantically preparing the end screens for his stream. You've been watching Drinkers with Gaming Problems. Thank you very much for stopping by. I'll see you soon.